Hi, this is Greg Smalley with Pod 366, a Weird Movies podcast, joined today by Giles Edwards for the last week that he will be co-hosting for a while, certainly not forever, as Giles will be going off to the Fantasia Film Festival for 3 weeks. And we may be able to check in with him occasionally. We're going to try to do that. It depends on the setup. And we will see. How are you, Giles?
I'm doing well, thank you. And yeah, looking around specs for the city of Montreal, in theory, they have a rig such that there's supposed to be Wi-Fi everywhere. So in theory, I could bring my laptop somewhere and punch in to chat with you, maybe with someone with me. I'll find out.
That'd be cool. There's a we'll see what happens. We'll be in contact during. It's all moving very fast. We're doing it on the fly. But today we're going to have a special guest, Jacob Klemmer. At least we hope we will. And we're going to talk in some detail about the Fantasia Festival and in general, and then what's specifically on tap. Before we do that, today we're going to run down some of the new releases as we always do. There aren't a lot of new releases this week. However, there are some things to talk about. That's not what we're going to talk about first.
Hey.
You seeing it, Giles?
I do, and I bet I can guess what that image is about.
Yeah, if you're just tuning into audio only, the still we have up is of a dropper with what looks like a blood in it and a woman's mouth at the bottom in horizontal position with tongue open, ready to receive a drop of this blood. And this is
a Spoonful of Sugar, I'm betting.
Yeah, Spoonful of Sugar, which that is not sugar.
No.
So we'll have the trailer for this up on 366weirdmovies.com if you want to check it out. Spoonful of Sugar is coming out in limited theaters, but also where you're more likely to see it on Shudder. And it's about a young, as far as I can understand, it's about a young babysitter who is sort of addicted to microdosing LSD, which is a new sort of trend where you take a little bit of it like every day or so. I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. It's kind of a homeopathic thing.
Yeah.
Also, it takes care of a little, I believe, the autistic child. And then some horrific events happen. And I think it's theorized, or the premise is perhaps that the LSD is driving this babysitter crazy and making her perhaps the wrong person to be taking care of a child.
Yeah, I watched the trailer about half an hour ago, and it excuse me, Goose. Hang on. And it sorry about this. And it definitely looked really creepy, with some creepy, inappropriate father character and a desperate, frazzled mother character. And yeah, so it certainly looked unsettling. And
Yeah.
I was reminded of, as I always am when I read plot summaries like this, of Turn of the Screw. So that's probably off the mark, but it was a story that came to mind, and hopefully my cat will calm down.
I may be able to see this soon because we usually get screeners for Shudder products. And I believe I have one. It might have expired, but we'll check.
I bet they'll send another.
Yeah, so we might have coverage of this one soon. Not sure how weird it will be, but anytime you got LSD in the mix, you have potential.
Oh, yeah.
What I always say. Well, so here's one that it seems like we've talked about. We probably talked about this on the very first episode of Pod 366, and it's coming to the end right now. It is Beau Is Afraid. We first covered it when the trailer came out and was a big buzz among everybody, but especially among weird movie fans. Then we covered it during its theatrical release. We covered it when it went to VOD, and now we're mentioning it again now that it is on DVD and Blu-ray.
I suppose the next time we'll talk about it will be when either Criterion or Arrow puts out their 4K special release.
I don't know. Have A24 movies ever shown up on Criterion? I think they released them on their own.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever have yet sublet anything. I could be wrong on that. I think they probably have a distribution deal with Lionsgate. And but anyway, that's a little inside baseball talk about who distributes what. Most people don't care about that. But yeah, so I think the next time we'll talk about it is when we're talking about the 10 weirdest movies of 2023. So we can get off Beau Is Afraid for a little while. Giles, I'm betting you still haven't seen it, though.
I still haven't seen it. I really, really plan to, and I imagine if I weren't going to be booked over the next few weeks, I'd probably just buy this and watch it. So it'll hold for me. I'm not worried.
It'll hold till the end of the year when you'll need to weigh in on it. Definitely, it's the anxiety comedy. It's similar to a movie we're going to talk about next in a lot of ways, but it's an anxiety comedy with very surreal bits, including some animated sequences done by the guys who did The Wolf House.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
So, but the movie that it sort of reminds me of in a twisted way, it's weirder than this movie, but it's the next movie we're going to discuss, so it makes a good segue, which is a movie that is showing up on Criterion, After Hours. I think it's Martin Scorsese's weirdest movie by far. Some people probably would go for what's that name? What's the name of that one? It just fled my mind. It's Leo DiCaprio, Shutter Island.
Oh, Shudder. Oh, that. All right. Yeah, I have not seen After Hours. My apologies. I'll see it eventually, possibly on this Criterion 4K release. I did see Shutter Island. That was a great movie and a very interesting little thriller kind of thing, but I wouldn't describe it so as weird. Definitely very taut, suspenseful, and a neat little twist. But
nor would I. I think the twist had been done elsewhere in Shutter Island also. So, but that's neither here nor there. It's still very well made. After Hours is about a yuppie. It's 1985. It has all the anxieties of yuppiedom. It's about a guy who gets lost in New York City, loses his cab fare, and tries to get home to his Soho apartment, but keeps encountering very strange people, almost all of whom are women, who are very subtly threatening. And it is a movie that is weird in a very subtle and unsettling way, but also very funny. Cheech and Chong are in it briefly.
Oh, excellent choice.
It's an excellent movie. To be honest, this cover art, I'm not that crazy about compared to the original poster. The original poster had Griffin Dunn's head and a woman's nails coming down and twisting his head into a corkscrew, which was just
over a clock.
Yeah. Over a clock, yes, which was just the perfect description of what happens to Griffin Dunn in that movie. And a great performance by Griffin Dunn, who I would have thought would have become a bigger star after that. Not based on that, but he just showed star qualities, and then he kind of didn't show up in a lot of things after that, which I thought was surprising.
Nothing major. Quick scan here. Yeah, he seems to have a whole lot of TV work, so at least keeping busy.
But I did not buy that on my Criterion collection thing. It was on my short list, but I decided to save money and not buy it. but it's certainly one I would be interested in picking up because I don't think I own it. Well, for one thing, I think the special features on this one were not anything that were really knocked me out, because some of them were I'd already heard the Scorsese commentary and so forth.
Yeah, it looks like basically, yeah, commentary. Oh, well, yeah, it looks like the only boast it has is a new conversation between director Martin Scorsese and writer Fran Lebowitz.
Yeah, writer fan, not writer of After Hours. She just, it's always fun to listen to Fran Lebowitz talk.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's probably a delightful extra, but it looks like it's the only new thing from their little blurb on the site.
Right, right. And that's one of the reasons I didn't pick it up. But if you haven't seen it or didn't see the original DVD release, this would be a really great one to pick up.
Yeah.
On to one that probably I think isn't going to be a really great one to pick up, but we don't know for sure. This is a Cube, which is I believe came out in 2021. It is a Japanese remake of the canonically weird classic Cube. We will have the trailer up also, and if you watch the trailer, it does a perfect job of recreating the Cube itself, which I suppose isn't that hard. It wasn't an elaborate set. But from everything I could see, it looked like just a beat-for-beat remake that happened to have Japanese actors in it. And I have not read anything about it from anybody who's seen it, which is particularly illuminating or complimentary. It kind of just went by, by the side of the road. And so I'm assuming it's just intended to introduce Japanese audiences to Cube, and there's nothing special or different about it. Do you know any differently, Giles?
I do not, but yeah, I did see the trailer, and even though there were no subtitles, I could, having seen the original, I was like, okay, I know exactly what's going on. The Cube looks a little sleeker, being 25 years newer, and I did recognize I think I recognized one of the actors who play the Japanese actor who plays the variant of, I don't know if he was a French or whoever the ex-thief was, but Kotaro Yoshida, I recall from things I've seen recently, and he's always a pleasure. So I'm guessing this is at least pretty good, might be even as good as the original if you, haven't seen the original yet anyway, since that was a sort of out of left field, low budget thing that was quite good for what it was, trying to do and budgeted for. But
but yet if you're not a Japanese speaker, a native Japanese speaker, just watch the original.
Yes, there would be that.
Unless they're doing something new and different here, which it doesn't appear.
Or they could get the original cast to do the English dub of the Japanese version.
Now that would
be cool.
That would be interesting. The last movie I watched, Blind Willow's Sleeping Woman, had Japanese characters speaking French dubbed into English.
How was that?
The review just went up, and I liked it quite a bit, actually.
Cool.
Very good. Very good, but it's a topic for another day.
Right. Moving on.
Read the review of Blind Willow's Sleeping Woman on
okay.
Movies, by all means, and then go out and rent it if you're so inclined. Okay, so that was it for movies that are actually released. 3 physical media and 1 theatrical / on Shudder. Now we're talking about upcoming movies. And for these, this still is one from a movie we've been tracking for a long time and still know virtually nothing about, including whether it's going to be truly weird or not. I'm going to read a little bit from the press release. It's Isa Gonzalez and Aaron Paul, who you can see in the foreground, and I guess that's Gonzalez in the background, co-star in a new sci-fi thriller, Ash, directed by Flying Lotus. and based on original screenplay by Johnny Remler. And there's some other people in the cast. XYZ Films, GFC Films are producing. Neil Blomkamp of District 9 and Echo Lake are executive producers. Flying Lotus supplies an original score to the film. And the logline is, when a woman, Gonzalez, wakes up on a distant planet and finds the crew of her space station viciously killed, she must decide if she can trust the man, Paul, sent to rescue her. So nothing has been released about the plot, really, other than that. And there have been no leaks or anything. The only reason the description sounds like a pure sci-fi thing, the only reason we're interested in following it and checking it out is because it's directed by Flying Lotus. Do you know who Flying Lotus is, Giles?
I'm not familiar, but some quick look here. He seems to mostly be a composer for films, and I'm sure is a musician otherwise. And yes, there's always the possibility of that person taking the helm, doing something unexpected.
He is a musician. He is actually Alice Coltrane's nephew. Which is very cool, but I can recommend his music, which is kind of an electronic jazz hip hop fusion stuff.
Oh, okay, that sounds
it's
cool.
very creative and very cool. And the album I listened to is called "You're Dead," and it's like a trip through the afterlife, but with an electronic hip hop jazz fusion way. But he did a feature movie called Kuzo, which was incredibly weird, and which we didn't review. And we've been asked to review it, and we never got to it. And then he did one anthology segment in the VHS anthology series, which I don't know. I don't think it was as weird as Kuzo. So maybe he's getting less and less weird as he directs more things. But we don't know. It could be great. It could be just very standard sci-fi. Flying Lotus is the only thing it's got going for it from our perspective. Could end up being great, though. Still, let's move on to the next one. This is called Open. And I copied the... while I look this up, Giles, do you know anything about Open?
I got the link you sent me, so I can mention some highlights from there. It's going to be here we go. One of the most musical numbers, homage to 80s new wave and beyond. It's about a washed-up actor who has increasingly nagging hallucinations and his relationship with the protagonist, a woman in a troubled marriage, and so there's going to be some, I'm sure, emotional resonance. The star of the show says, quote, "I really think it's our own Rocky Horror Picture Show. The thing is so unique, the songs are infectious, I can hear audiences singing along, and considering what I know about you and your views on New Wave, perhaps it'll be better if you outsource the review for this one once it hits us."
Yeah, New Wave, not my favorite genre of music. Apparently, there are a lot of nagging and empowering hallucinations about fronting an 80s New Wave band. And I would think fronting an 80s New Wave band would be, shameful and disgraceful, and you'd feel suicidal. But he finds it empowering, apparently. So I do have a producer star, Elena Sanchez, says, Open has been one of the wildest projects I've ever been a part of. So I don't know what other projects she's been a part of, but I did look up her IMDb, and she has been in a lot of things. So if it's the wildest one she's ever been in,
let's see, actress, stunts, producer for, let's see, Hunger Games, Walking Dead, Avengers. All right, so yes, this probably is the wildest thing she's
wilder than Hunger Games. Yes.
Whoa.
And they are, using the comparisons to Rocky Horror Picture Show. So yeah, I mean, I like campy musicals, to be honest. So even if it's new wave music, I could probably soldier through it. But it wouldn't be my choice of a musical genre to set.
Well, this is a little bit. Oh, November. Okay, yeah, I'll certainly, yeah, I'll definitely express my interest in this now, and if they follow through with that release, can sneak that in before our yearbook, maybe.
Right, it's coming out in November, theatrical release. So very late. For in our calendar year runs from November to November, so that we can work on things in December. All right, so that is open. Look for it in November. We're getting way ahead. This one is so far in the future that we don't even have a date for it, and we don't have a still for it, and we don't know if it's going to be any good. But it is a remake of Spider Baby, and Giles, you always amaze me with the movies you haven't seen yet. Have you seen
I've also not seen this one.
You've not seen Spider. We had a weird watch party of Spider Baby.
I obviously haven't made all of those,
and you missed it.
You've witnessed. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry.
Shame. I bet our next guest, Jacob Klemmer, has seen Spider Baby. But I'm going to read the press release that I got for this one. Director Dustin Ferguson's remake of Jack Hill's 1967 cult classic horror movie Spider Baby, or The Maddest Story Ever Told, has wrapped principal photography in LA. The film, from production company SCS Entertainment, tells of a pair of greedy relatives that try to repossess the Mary estate, but the inbred children protect their home and bloodline at all costs. The cast includes Beverly Washburn, Brink Stevens, Robert Mukes, Ron Chaney, not Ron Chaney Jr., but Ron Chaney, Peter Stickles, Tracy Burr, Jennifer Moriarty, and Vida Ghaffari. Hill serves as an executive producer. Eric Anthony Russo is director of photography. Jeff Burr is the creative consultant. And he quotes, "We've reached an exhilarating milestone with the completion of the Spider Baby remake, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have worked with an extraordinary ensemble of genre stars such as Robert Mukes, Beverly Washburn, Brink Stevens, and Ron Chaney. Their immense talent and commitment have breathed new life into this iconic story, infusing it with a fresh and captivating energy. I can hardly wait for audiences to experience the chilling world we've created when Spider Baby premieres." So it's in post-production, no idea when it'll come out. I do have comments on the cast, though. Beverly Washburn, who you can see in the foreground of this photograph, stars in this one and was in the original. So she's coming back. And now, since the two main characters are female and two females are listed up front, Beverly Washburn and Brink Stevens. Brink Stevens, who's also probably in her 50s or 60s. I'm guessing they're the two leads and play the two inbred children. In the original, the two inbred children, though, as you can see, were young women in their late teens or early 20s. So now they're going to be old women, which certainly is going to change the dynamic. Yeah. Robert Mukes, I'm guessing, will play the role played by Sid Haig in the original. And Robert Mukes, is a guy I worked with on the movie Locked In. He is 7 feet tall and also very wide, and I had to drive him to the set every day for a week, and he did not fit very well in my car. He's just a really nice guy, though. And he sent me something. He sent me a Happy New Year, so maybe I can talk to him. And I'm guessing Ron Chaney is a relative of.
He's like the great grandson or something.
What's that?
I think grandson of Lon Chaney Jr.
Right.
Ron Chaney
Jr. was starred in the original Spider Baby as the chauffeur caretaker of the inbred children, who are really quite gentle despite the fact that they like to kill people and eat them.
Oh, well, it's one of those like arsenic and old lace kinds of things.
Yes,
all kinds of people can be murderers.
Yeah, it's a black comedy for the time it came out, which was about 67, I think. It was very transgressive with a lot of hints of sex, incest, necrophilia, cannibalism, and some pretty creepy kind of lap dance scenes.
Oh.
Which you would not expect. But yes, so remakes are always iffy proposition.
Well, you should take some comfort then that the creative consultant is Jeff Burr, who seems to work exclusively in remakes and sequels. So some professional input from a guy who's devoted his career to those.
Has he done anything good?
Not anything I've seen. A couple Puppet Master things, and those will do what they got to do. And some more Puppet Master, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, which I don't think I've heard anything about one way or another. So yeah, I would be loath to comment too much, not having seen, I think, anything that he's directed, but looks like the kind of person who knows a thing or two about this kind of project anyway. So
one positive thing besides the cast, which I like the cast, is that Jack Hill, the original director, is an executive producer.
Yes, that is another good
I don't
stuff.
think he'd allow anything too horrible to go on.
Not to besmirch his legacy.
Not to be
Spider-Baby.
And this movie is quite beloved. It was legendary for a time when I was growing up. It was not on video cassette for a long time or available anywhere, and people talked about it in awed tones. And of course, now it's on Tubi, and you can look it up anytime you want. So we live in an age of miracles.
Yep. Got to take the good with the bad.
So one last thing, we're going to announce Fantasia is coming. That's why we're doing this special Fantasia broadcast, which we will be continuing in just a bit. It starts July 20th, runs till August 9th. Giles will be there. Huge genre festival that also has frequently has a number of surreal little movies in it. And we're going to talk about it more after the break. But before we do, Giles, I thought maybe we would mention the weird movie, the one weird movie you and I are both looking forward to most from this upcoming festival. And then we'll see if our guest agrees with our picks, or if we maybe have picked the same movie. Are you ready to go, or should I go first?
Oh, I think you should go.
The movie I am going to suggest, there are a lot of re-releases that I think you should see of older movies, but the movie I'm going to suggest to see the most is called Divinity. And here it is. It's a black and white movie. I'm going to read the programmer's description. In a barren future wasteland, the ruins of California, perhaps, Jackson Pierce, played by Stephen Dorff, has attained immortality, both literal and figuratively. Following in his father's footsteps, the pharmaceutical mogul has dedicated his life to furthering and commercializing divinity, a civilization-altering substance that grants its jacked, meat-headed users eternal youth, to devastating effect for humanity. Yet Faustian bargains come at a great price, and the hourglass has run out of sand. A mysterious, seductive woman penetrates the madman's fortress, and two cosmic brothers descend from the heavens to abduct Jackson. The time of reckoning has come. Then some background, produced and directed by Steve Sorberg. It's from Eddie Alcazar, whose name is familiar, yet I can't think of anything I've seen.
Yeah.
A stunningly stylized, mind-melting head trip in the pure, rarefied midnight movie tradition. Think genre staples such as Eraserhead and Tetsuo the Iron Man. So that's some
Setting a high bar there.
Yeah, that's a high bar to live up to. But that is the one I picked as sounding the most promising of everything I skimmed at the site. Now, Now, Giles, have you come
I
up?
agree with you entirely. There were a couple things brought to my attention specifically today from a publicist associate, Ted Gagan, actually.
I just want one though.
All right.
The one top pick that you're interested in seeing.
Okay. I will.
We can talk about the rest and with our guest.
Yeah. I'm going to go, and this, if not top, then most immediate present to mind pick. Vincent Must Die sounded potentially rather interesting. I may be off the mark here, but it's the story of an ordinary man who finds himself fighting for his life after he goes out one day and is mysteriously attacked by random strangers in the street with the intent to kill him.
Okay.
It is the description caught my eye. It sounded very much like a very black comedy promising kind of thing. And so that wasn't one I had necessarily looked too closely at, but the phrasing there just seemed so intriguing to me. And you know, when you go with French, you can always keep your fingers crossed they'll get up to something weird when they're talking about violence and the human condition. So that's one I'm going to make an effort to see, certainly.
All right. And then, yeah, like I said, there are a bunch of re-releases that you should probably see if you can, but I think you like to prioritize the new stuff if you can. So
yeah, before I admit it to Jacob, my modus operandi with this is kind of show up and wing it with whatever you've told me to certainly check out, and then I just let fate point me toward particular screenings. So yeah.
2 weeks or 3 weeks of 3 movies a day, I think you like to see, right?
I my cap, most I ever did in one day, it was a few times, six screenings in a day. The second or third time I was there. So
not even possible 6 screens to
they were long days.
Line beforehand.
Starting at noon and going through and watching the midnight showing, you can do it.
Wow.
I didn't do it much.
Wow.
But they put a lot of great re-releases right at midnight, like The Crazies was one, I think was part of one of those strings of the early Romero pictures. I was like, oh man, well, I guess I'm staying up till 2.
Guess you have to. All right. Well, we hopefully will be talking about some more in just a few minutes. For you, no time will elapse. For us, we're going to take a break and come right back. So I'm going to sign off temporarily, and we should see you in just a little bit.
Rock and roll.
Hi, this is Greg with Pod 366, and I'm with Giles. And we're back after a short break, and we have with us our guest this week, Jacob Klemmer of Fantasia Film Festival. Hi, Jacob.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
You're very welcome. So first off, let's talk a little bit about you and the festival. So can you give us a brief explanation of how you came to join the festival and what it is you do for the festival?
Sure. So I used to be a student journalist writing for a newspaper at McGill University up here in Montreal. And Fantasia was one of the first festivals I ever wrote about. And I would come back year after year because I was really drawn to the breadth of titles and how strange they were. And I was always under the impression that at this festival, you have the chance to see things that you normally would not get to see anywhere else. And so after that, I applied to work in the international press team, and I'm still working in that team today. I'm a coordinator of international press.
Why, that makes it make sense that you're talking to American film reviewers then. Perfect.
And so Fantasia is a really large film festival, both in the number of attendees and the number of films. So does your particular job keep you busy all year? Is there an off season, or are you working on looking at films all year?
There is an off season after the festival ends. There is a bit of downtime, but then once things start getting announced again, it picks back up for me.
And so do you get a chance to see all the movies, either or the majority of them, either before they start screening or as they're screening?
In theory, I could, but there are so many movies, especially this year, that I'm not sure I would be able to unless I spend all day every day watching movies up until the festival. And that doesn't sound so bad, but unfortunately I do have to do work on those days too.
Yeah, right. When the festival is actually going, you're going to be busy coordinating people, I guess so. And how many movies do we have this year? Do you know offhand?
Offhand, I know that we have over 150 features and over 300 shorts, but I'm not sure the exact number.
Oh, I think that's a close enough. Yeah, okay. Those are bigger numbers than I've seen recently. So excellent. I'll be busy then.
And this year, so there are sort of like always little themes that run by. And this year, one thing you've got is a lot of movies from, and I probably don't know how to pronounce his name, but Jiraj Hers, the Czechoslovakian, and there's another Czechoslovakian, at least one more Czechoslovakian movie that's there. So that's a special feature you're running this year. And also, it's the festival is honoring a certain individual actor who we're very fond of, Nicolas Cage. So how do you go about, not that you do it, but how do you know how they go about picking the theme of this episode, or this edition of the festival?
Well, I know that with Nicolas Cage specifically, it's because he has this new film coming out, Sympathy for the Devil, that he's really proud of, and that it felt sort of natural to commemorate his career, especially because last year it was the year where we honored John Woo. Of course, John Woo and Nicolas Cage have collaborated many times, and so that's how that was decided. And with the Uraj Hertz retrospective, really we are looking for movies that have been recently restored, movies that have just had their prints come into like a certain restoration house, and that we can screen before anyone else gets a chance to see them. We're really fond of doing that.
Now, of the movies you have, a number of them would be specifically Quebecois.
Quebecois.
You always have a specific section or focus on those movies from Quebec specifically, correct?
Yes, we do. Our opening title this year is a large premiere called Red Rooms, from a director who actually studied at Concordia University, where the festival projects many of its films.
Great. So they're kind of when you talk about what you're looking for at Fantasia, it seems to me you have the Quebec angle. You have, and I think the name suggests kind of the other types of movies you're looking for. For the Asia, there are always a large number of Asian movies here, and I believe, if I'm not incorrect, that it started as a specifically Asian festival and Asian cinema festival, and then the fantasy element. Is that, how would you describe the slate of movies that you guys feature?
It's a lot of, well, it's primarily genre cinema. It's a lot of action, a lot of horror. Horror is the big one. And it's a lot of films, as you said, from Asia, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, other places like that. We are looking for things that are very attention grabbing, very eye catching, things that are really like sort of things that are odd and interesting and not likely to be shown anywhere else. We're also looking for things that people will come and see, cinephiles who live in the city and who come in from out of town, things that they will really, things that they will take to.
Do you know, well, before Giles asks his question, let me ask one more. Do you know, do you have estimates on how many people attend each year the festival as just as paying customers going to see the film?
I do not know off the top of my head how many people come to the festival each year. It's very popular, but in terms of the exact number, I'm not sure.
There are always huge lines.
100,000. One of my colleagues just gave me the number.
That's believable, and it is. I've been there. It is huge. Not as often as Giles, but when I was there, it was huge. Giles, did you have a question? I think.
Yeah, it's just I know that there are, let's see, I guess different panels within your crew that focus on different kinds of movies. Like there's Rupert Bottenberg, and he focuses on animation. I know Celia Pouzet has her, shall we say, particular focus. Are these the groups that help with the curation of the when you're going about collecting, as you said, like was 100 some odd 150 feature length, and so that, I believe, I've sort of pieced together from discussing the festival with the various people that I see every other day since I'm there for the 3 weeks. Can you tell us about the specific teams you got going? If I'm on, if my presumption is correct here, I'm kind of curious about more specifics about the crews you got in the, shall we say, harvesting process for getting the titles together.
Mm-hmm. Your assumption is correct. You mentioned Rupert Bottenberg's section, the Axis section for animation, and Docs from the Edge as well, the documentary section. Other large sections that we have are Camera Lucida, which is run by Ariel Kaye, and it's sort of the more art house and experimental section. We also have Underground, which is programmed by Justine Smith, and it's specifically like films that were produced without the help of like a major studio, or films that were produced for very low budgets or by people who've perhaps never made a film before. And we also have a new section that was just inaugurated last year called Septentrion Shadows, and that's programmed by Carolyn Morissette, and that's specifically our Canadian genre section that programs films from Canada. And then, of course, we have our main slate of titles, which is programmed by our other programmers like Mitch Davis, King Wei, and Nicholas Archambault.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I recognize all those names. Fantastic. Okay, so that's good to confirm there, because I know that with a festival this broad, as you say, it's all genre, but that is well, in many ways a helpfully ambiguous term, since it can catch all kinds of things. But yeah, there's definitely I can see the different pockets that I experience as I'm wandering through, and usually I found the organizers of the particular screening are generally kicking around, hanging around there, during or after the show. So it's good to further my knowledge of what's going on behind the scenes there, as I will now be going the 7th time, which is nothing compared to some reviewers I know who are going, but still something I'm pretty pleased with.
I think that's very impressive to have gone 7 times. I went once and would love to go back, but since you volunteered to do it, and you're much closer, it's just...
I am a 3.5 hour drive from the event, so even though the forest fire situation has prompted the rail route there to be cut off, but hopefully my Greyhound bus won't sink into overly hot asphalt en route. So
That's actually something I'd forgotten about because it got really bad down here earlier in the summer and has cleared up. How is the forest fire situation right now? Is it affecting the Montreal area?
It is recently it's not nearly as bad as it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. The air quality has returned to normal stable levels. The one big effect that we're having from it is that we're getting a lot of rain now. It's an unseasonably rainy summer, but that's never stopped us before.
No, it's
As long as you can breathe, I hope. So, what is the what's like the big centerpiece? Consider the big centerpiece film, or if you have a couple this year that you think is going to draw eyeballs.
Well, we do have a couple that are very important. Obviously, Sympathy for the Devil, which is Nicolas Cage's film, which is going to world premiere here. Our opening film is Red Rooms, directed by, as I said, Concordia graduate. Very, very anticipated. And our closing film, We Are Zombies, is also going to be rather large for us because it's directed by the collective RKSS, who have had some films at the festival in the past, notably Summer of '84, which I think played in 2018 or 2019. This was their first audience. They came to Fantasia many times when they were studying. They had a lot of short films at the festival, but this is the first film of theirs that we've world premiered. So we're really excited for that one. We also have the movie Hippo, which we're very excited about.
Yeah.
Sort of the debut feature from Mark Rappaport, who has acted in a couple things, but this is his first feature film. Sort of like a dark comedy, like coming of age film, kind of like Todd Solondz, but it has a very interesting visual style. But I wouldn't say there's just one centerpiece of the festival. We sort of have multiple centerpieces.
Yeah.
And what about also besides movies? What kind of events or things are planned for this 3 weeks upcoming?
Well, we have our artist talk with Larry Kent, famous pioneer of independent cinema in Canada. He's going to be coming and talking about a lot of his films. We have the RKSS Masterclass. We have a book launch that's going to feature readings by a number of people like Jay Baruchel, people like C. Robert Cargill. And of course, we have our those are the big three. There's perhaps others that I'm forgetting and that I'll regret not mentioning right now, but those are three that I'm very excited for.
The book one in particular, we are interested in. I'm always what it is the book is a collection of fake AI generated movie posters that then people have written synopsises of fictional movies based on these posters generated by AI. It just sounded like a really fun and cool thing. And I know the guy who put it together, Pat Tremblay, talked to him before. So we're looking forward to that one as well. Giles, did you have a question?
Oh, there was just one sort of non-cinematic thing that I believe happens every year is the Cabaret of Curiosities, as something I know is a recurring, not quite movie screening event, and also taking over from the DJ XL5 Zappin' Party, which was last year the last. I can't quite remember because I thought I'd heard that he was stopping that little program of his. If you have more information on that or its legacy.
Yeah, he would. I don't know how many years that that event ran for, but it was a very long running and very popular. But we're excited to have that. We're excited to have that short block here. 16 short films that are all being presented. That they sort of run the gamut from like lo-fi indie dramas to like animated features to zombie cinema and everything like that. I am very excited to attend it, and it was sort of a collaboratively programmed short block. We have a lot of really good short blocks this year. And another thing about the Cabaret of Curiosities that's very interesting is that it has short films from the UK, Germany, Spain, France, Quebec, the rest of Canada, and the United States. So it's very eclectic, not just in terms of genre, but in terms of where the movies come from.
Yeah, I do try to cover is certainly the animation shorts, because I'm always happy to watch cartoons. Are there any other short blocks you would care to do a special shout out for?
Yeah, so we have the Born of Woman short block this year, which is very sort of like they're all directed by women, and they're all very sort of experimental and bold genre films. We have Circo Animato, which, as you said, if you are an adult and you want an excuse to watch cartoons, that's a perfect one, because it's 10 short animated films. Some of them I've seen, and they're really good. We also have Fantastic Weekends, which is exclusively Quebecois short films, almost all in French, and we're very excited about that. And there's things that go bump in the East as well, which is our specifically Asian short block, which is no less eclectic than any of the others in terms of genre and style and everything else.
Yeah, I've caught that a few times and was always very pleased. And it's always obviously perfectly programmed late in the evening. So you emerge from this theater into nighttime Montreal, and everything's just pleasantly off. One thing I've never attended, but certainly want to advertise on your behalf for, shall we say, anyone with children, is I know that it's like, what, 3 times on a weekend, each weekend for the festival, there's the my first Fantasia event that is like a children-friendly variant of the festival as a whole, from my understanding, that I think would be a good way to get people hooked into this world of cinema.
Yeah, I've also never had the chance to check out my first Fantasia, usually because it comes at like a pretty busy weekend, but it is lovely by all accounts, and has a lot of very interesting animated films this year in the the title's in French, so I'm not going to do a very good job saying it, but the first weekend of my first Fantasia.
I'm there for the 3 weeks, and I think the only time I ever spent a day not doing anything was when, like a number of people toward the end of last year, I got COVID and was kind of stuck in my room the whole day. But other than that, there's something that can take up 12 to 14 hours any given day if you're of a mind to take in as much cinema as you guys are putting out for us. So
it's a 3-week long festival, so it's very important to pace yourself.
So I'd like maybe to see if you can recommend something. It's 366 weird movies. We like weird movies. Now, I know to the average person, probably everything you screen is weird to the average moviegoer. But we're looking for the weirdest of the weird. Is there something on the schedule that you think Giles needs definitely to check out while he's there? One film or maybe more that you can recommend that we may not be aware of?
I have a few. There is, in the underground section, there's a film called Booger, which is directed by Mary Dodderman in her feature debut. It's about a woman who is bitten by her roommate's cat, who has fled, and she tries to find the cat while slowly turning into a cat. It's very odd, very strange, very sort of like heartfelt in the end. It's in the underground section. There's also Apocalypse Clown, which is a comedy. You know about it already, I'm sure.
I took a peek at the list. That looked.
For the listener, it is a comedy about clowns in the apocalypse from Ireland. I haven't yet seen it. I'm very excited to go see it. I might save it, not watch the screener, go to the screening itself, because I'm very interested in how people are going to react to it. And another film I want to highlight is, I don't know if you guys reviewed the movie called Beyond the Infinite 2 Minutes in 2020.
Yeah, I saw and made a small review for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we have the new film from that director, which is called River, and it uses that format, but in a new setting with like a new story, and sort of takes it in a much different direction than that film does. And it's also, it's strange in the same way that that movie was strange, but it's also one that I want to highlight on this podcast.
Cool.
Yeah, happy.
Okay, so let me run some other movies. I just noticed we obviously haven't seen anything. We're just going off the the description that's on the website. See if you know anything about them. There's a movie called Divinity from Eddie Alcazar that the programmer wrote up some comparisons to a High Bar, Eraserhead, and Tetsuo. You heard of that one?
Yes, I have heard of that one. I'm also very excited to check that one out. It's in the one second, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk among ourselves quietly.
Yes. No, I went through the list and was like, oh wow, this is even just some quick glances. I found about 15, 16 things that look like likely promising candidates. So
I'm restricting myself to features. So
me too.
The Clown Apocalypse one, I think, is a short.
No,
it's a feature.
It is a feature. Yeah, because I did the feature filter.
There is a tornado warning going on right now.
Oh my goodness.
So I might have to cut out of this podcast early, but I can give you another like 5 or 10 minutes. Anyway, I'm excited to watch Divinity.
Giles, we got to hurry up. Giles,
right.
Which one was the one you were most interested in, and you highlighted?
Oh yeah, Vincent Must Die.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure if that's going to be fun or weird or hopefully both, but you can always count on the French
that one.
Be un-American.
That one I've heard is very interesting, very sort of like absurdist. It's up for our Cheval Noir prize.
Okay.
And I'm excited to watch that one as well. I don't know where it played first. I know it played somewhere. I think it played at Cannes actually. And it got really, really good impressions from that festival. And I'm really excited to watch it here as well. That's sort of a theme for these movies, that I'm excited to watch them.
Well, I guess before the tornado, the Cheval Noir, that to me is probably the best prize I think that you guys give. What makes a film qualify to be in the running for that?
I am going to ask one of my colleagues about that, actually. Do you know what qualifies a movie to be in the Cheval Noir competition? It's that one is programmed by Mitch Davis, and it's movies that him and the other programmers sort of put up as their sort of choice entries that they want to highlight.
Well, they'd be good people to make that decision. Yes, definitely. Cool.
One or two more movies I'd like to ask about. We have somebody who's seen it and is a huge fan of Hundreds of Beavers.
Yes, Hundreds of Beavers is another one that I was going to bring up to you guys, actually. I've heard it's like I don't. You guys must be fans of Guy Maddin, one of the
Absolutely.
famous like strange Canadian filmmakers. He has given his full endorsement to Hundreds of Beavers, and that one I'm really excited to see. It's part of the underground section as well.
I bet.
And we yeah, I've never seen a fur trapping thriller before, and I think it's a very rich subject, sort of specifically Canadian in a way, that I find very interesting.
Even though I think they're not Canadians, aren't they? Michiganders?
They are Michiganders. It's the
South
team,
Canadians.
yeah. Well, the fur trading industry is sort of a historically important one in Canada. There is a lot of Midwestern Canadian crossover, cultural crossover.
Yeah, the prairie area, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because I actually saw Lake Michigan Monster. I think it was the festival just before Corona shut everything down for the 2.5 years, and so I have an idea of what kind of movie I'll be stepping into for that one. And Greg, you had a
One other I was interested in was Mutant Aliens, because it's from Bill Plimpton, who we like a lot.
Oh yes, Mutant Aliens. In the animation section, programmed by Rupert. I would love to. I wish I knew more about this one. I'm excited to watch it, as I am excited to watch all of them. Very unique animation style, and yeah, yeah. There's I think I might have to go very soon. So yeah, that's a good one.
All right. Hey, well, there's a tornado, there's fires. It's the apocalypse is coming. So if you got to go, I say you got to go. We've about done our time. And thank you so much for being.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just a treat to talk to somebody from Fantasia. We just love Fantasia. So thanks a lot.
Well, thank you for having me, Giles. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Oh yeah.
And we wish you both a lovely festival. And as we say before every screening, bon cinema.
Bon cinema, and
bon cinema, and stay safe.
Good luck with the tornado.
Thank you.
All right. We're gonna just say goodbye. Giles, you done?
I'm done. Yeah, we're set. Right. So we'll let you get to shelter.
Okay.
Right, well, thank you.
Signing off.